Hello, it is Tuesday night and I'm getting ready for our meeting, and tonight we are studying about what's called the prodigal son for years, but it's Tim Keller and others talk about it more about being about a loving father and his two lost sons, and I think that's a lot closer to it because the emphasis of the story is about the loving father, about loving his sons unconditionally in them trying to get their identity in two different directions. One is through self-discovery, so that's the younger brother that goes and spends all his inheritance and everything he has on wild living, trying to discover everything he can, and he's independent from the father. And then the elder brother tries the route of morality, trying to do everything in the right way, but he's independent from the father also. He's actually, and that kind of gives the religious spirit, because he's speaking in that story. It's telling you who his audience is, who Jesus' audience is, and it's tax collectors and sinners, and then it's also Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious leadership of the day. So he's actually speaking to both parties through this parable. And man, it's beautiful. It just shows about the unconditional love of God. When I was doing all the studying, I found that Christianity, when it first came, it was not even considered a religion because they called it an anti-religion in the beginning. And Rome actually they didn't call the early Christians, they called them atheists because it was so different than any other religion that was out there. Jesus came and basically exploded all the concepts of how we reach God and how we connect with God. It's so different in the way that he does things. And this story is perfect for that. The idea of God's love coming, a father in those days when the prodigal son came to his senses in the pig pen after he spent everything that he had and he had nothing left, and then he ended up devising a plan to come back and tell his father, I just want to be one of your hired servants. I know I've lost my identity as your son. And he runs out to his son and wraps his arms around him and says, "Hey, we're gonna get the robe for my son. We're gonna cook a fatted calf. It's gonna be an amazing time because my son was dead and now he's alive." And then the elder brother, his reaction to it of being angry, because how could you allow this son to come home, although he plundered all the wealth that he was given on prostitutes and wild living. And yet that just shows the hardness of the heart. And that's the pull for each one of us. Henry Nouwen, Catholic priest theologian, said there's a prodigal in all of us, right? Anytime we're in a place of sin, right, we're in the posture of the prodigal son who said, "Father, I want my inheritance now. I want my portion now so I could live independent from you and do whatever I want." Right? That's what we do when we sin. We're saying we would rather do the things that we want to do. We want your stuff. We don't want to have a relationship with you. It's basically saying, I don't mind if you're dead, And that's how the elder brother basically did the same thing. Everything was rooted in his behavior. It had nothing to do with his relationship with his father. So that's the two pulls that we have. We can get into a self-righteous place because our identity is, So it's about us repenting from the posture of I am my own. Because we are think about the two sons. They're independent from the father, right? Going this way and this way. What we are as followers, we're supposed to be interdependent with God. We're supposed to bend our will into his will instead of it being about us. But we live as if we are our own God when we're living in the wildlife. And we are living as our own God when it's all about our behavior. And then we think that somehow God owes us because we're so righteous. That's why it says, even your righteous deeds are like filthy rags. We need to be in a posture of... So it's not really I think the kingdom is not... It's not about... It's more about being humble or being proud. Those that are in the kingdom are humble. Those that are out are proud. Because proud says, I've got this on my own apart from you, in wild living or in morality, right? But it says, Jesus teaches, blessed are those who are spiritually poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, right? His dependence, our dependence is on him, not on ourselves. We aren't going to get, through self-discovery or morality, we aren't going to find that. Only in him are we going to find that, our dependence on him. So it's a repentance of our heart being in a posture of repenting from I am my own to being I am yours. And being in him is where we're going to experience the fruit of the Spirit. So that's what this is all about. It's about just coming back to a loving Father and having a relationship with him. Because he runs out to the prodigal. He also runs out to his elder brother and invites him into the party. The Father's desire in his heart is for his children to come home wherever you find yourself. You find yourself on the outside over here, trying to get everything this life has to offer, or you're in the religious camp of trying to get your identity by your behavior. He wants you to come home to him and rely on him, be interdependent with him, and don't be independent from him on your own works. Anyway, the prodigal story is amazing. It's about the depth of it. Through everything I've studied, is the emphasis is on the love of the Father and his lost two sons, not just the prodigal, right? But the emphasis is on the love of the Father. Anyway, God bless y'all.